Okay, I think we are live. Let's see. How are you this evening, Mr. Ronnie?
I am grateful. I am grateful. Busy, busy day. Um, but I'm grateful. I mean, it's these kinds of days, especially, that makes it so grateful. And how are you doing, Yasheka?
I am doing well. Before we get started, let me just say that I am happy to be back on live. Okay, because I was on punishment. I was in jail for a while. I'm trying to make sure that we on live. We on. I was in jail for a while,
Explain the
and
jail part because I don't want them to think that you were.
listen, listen. So let me tell you, I was in jail. Look, I don't care what nobody say. I was in jail. Not the traditional one,
Okay, that's what they want to
but
know.
I was definitely in Facebook jail because what I learned about all this, right? And let me introduce myself for those who are joining us for the first time. I am Yasheka Foster, affectionately known as the artist of dating. And you are listening to the Ronnie and Yashika's dating discussions that is live on YouTube as well as Facebook by using StreamYard. And my handsome host, introduce yourself.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ronnie Walker. I am the master coach of exceptional dating, relationships, and sex. And we approach the mindset of all of these through self development. So I welcome you, as you should, and good to see you out. Yes, you can
Yeah,
see you all got back together here. They're getting out of the digital prison garb, and you made a live where no one put anything on your books. No one came to help you out, help a sister out.
none of that. None of that. And let me tell you the problem with that, and this is for all of us entrepreneurs out there who are going through things, not really understanding things. The problem that I had with that was I was supposed to launch a program next week, right? Because next week is the 20th, which is around the first day of spring. And of course, most of what I do it through Facebook because I'm still kind of growing my Instagram, platform because I'm still kind of new to Instagram. So I haven't really, found the right audience or it hasn't really grown like I would like it to. But I feel that I can have more of a broader reach on Facebook, especially for my age demographic. And so what I found in this is that, when you put all your eggs in one basket, it kind of hinders you because I never really built that audience up at Instagram. I wasn't able to go ahead and because when I was in Facebook jail, I was in Facebook jail for 31 days. Listen, it was not 30, it was 31 days, and they made me wait to the last possible hour. It was like afternoon time yesterday when I could finally go live. Like they waited because I was checking, and it was like, you got 4 more hours, you got 1 more hour. I mean, literally, it was like that. You know what I mean? And so all I could think about was that I knew, at the beginning of March that it was going to be a wash. You know what I mean? Because I knew that I still had a good strong 2.5 weeks left before I can go live. So my program was not going to happen, in when I wanted to happen, which was to start on Monday. And so I couldn't do the promo for it because I couldn't run ads while I was in jail. I couldn't do any lives. I couldn't even comment live to someone else's post. So say if someone made a post and instead of you typing out what you say, you kind of do like a live, like a video, be like, hey, congratulations, I'm glad for you. I tried to post that even to people's posts up under their name, and I couldn't even do that. Like Facebook shut me all the way down on anything live, anything that was except for reels and things like that, because those things were already pre-made, so they didn't have to worry about scanning me to make sure. Because apparently, according to them, I am soliciting what, and also I communicate threats. I mean, I'm just like, are y'all kidding me? The words that they use, but it's a billion-dollar company, and so who am I? At the end of all this, who am I? I'm just I'm a very, 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 very peon of a person. Like if I jumped off of Facebook today, I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg would not miss me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I'm not making him any money. I'm not doing anything. I just use the platform for what it's for, but it just was a valuable lesson to kind of spread your love throughout different platforms, so that that way when something happens, you're not locked out of everything, because that ultimately I was locked out of everything. So that's that. But I'm out of jail. It was a tough 31 days. It really was. Like I said, I didn't get no visitors. I didn't get anybody putting anything on my books. People was like, you know what, and they wanted to know what I did. It's like, what did you do? And I couldn't tell them on Facebook what I did, because then that would just extend my jail time. You know what I'm saying? So I had to DM
Exactly.
them and tell them, well, this is what I did and this is what I said. And they like, what? This don't make no sense. But not my rules, not what they say, not my show. So that's that. I'm just glad to be back with this, because we were just doing it over there on YouTube, and I'm not sure if we got the track or people, the views. I don't know, but I do know that it makes me feel better when the numbers are at least in the two digits. You know what I mean? When you got a one-digit number of views and things like that, I feel some kind of way about it, because I'm thinking about an hour plus of my time, and that's all I got was 3 views. Because we don't really have a platform over on YouTube yet. As we growing, it's not there yet. We're growing, and so the views were low, extremely low. Um, and so yeah, and so I'm happy to be back here. But it just definitely makes me understand that there are some things that I need to do better in terms of being an entrepreneur, and especially using social media to grow my platform, my to grow my brand. You know what I mean? So yeah, I said a mouthful. I think you're on mute.
I muted myself, unmuted myself, and muted myself back. Well, we do welcome you back, and
Thank you.
again, your presence is definitely needed, and it was sorely missed, as
Uh,
I'm sure. Even to the fact where even one of the things I'd like to talk about, I got a call last minute to make sure that I especially ask you about this. So it's good that the timing is perfect. That back, so maybe you can lend your wisdom and counsel to this last thing that I want to hopefully we get a chance to cover. So again, I mean, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing I can assure you, Yashika and I will be covering some fairly sensational topics. Yet at the same time, what we are not doing. Listen, if we really wanted to do something to explode this space, we can do what everybody else is doing. But there's one thing that I do is I notice online what a lot of people are now doing. It also amazes me how many people are now jumping into the quote unquote relationship space. Now, far be it from me to say what they should or should not do, nor am I going to say whether what they're doing is good or bad. However, I do notice a pattern. And see, there's one thing to follow trends, and then there's a thing to do it organically. And I can assure you what Yashika and I bring to this platform is definitely professional and personal experience. And we're not going to give you the BS. And now I have to watch what I say sometimes, because then I'll end up in Facebook jail. I've been there once, just anyhow. But this is a place that now where even if you're joking, it can be construed the wrong way, because now they're trying to err on the side of caution. And I'm not even going to go into my conspiracies as to who gets put in this place the most as opposed to others. But that's a whole nother conversation. But what I wanted to do in welcoming Yashika back is really just do a free for all. So, Yashika, what I'd like to do is to let the people know that you still got it. You're out here, and you still on your game, and we still going to tear up the internet, and make it known that what you bring to this is value. And also, too, very quickly, datingdiscussions.com, you'll see some background information on Yashika and I. And if you so want a consult or coaching, you can also go to the Artist of Dating as well on our Instagram post. Listen, Yashika has a world of knowledge, and I'm going to say this over and over and over again. Ladies and even gentlemen, what I've learned is that whether I feel I have all the answers or not, which I don't, I know not everyone wants to hear it from me. And I think Yashika is a valuable, valuable resource that will provide you what you need to do. And I'm going to prove that tonight again by posing this to you. So this I had the whole day was consults, and it was really, really enlightening and learning about people. Like I tell people, you'll learn more about people than you ever learn about the subjects at hand. And this is the beauty on the relationships that you build and what we do in directing them to what will be, some happiness in terms of the relationship with themselves, family, and intimate relationships, dating, and sex. So, Yasheka, this was one of the things that was posed to me. I said, I'm going to ask Yasheka first. I believe, and I'm not going to mention the name,
Of course.
but we in the news is in terms of alimony. Now, we know for years that men of means, and even men of no means, very few means, have historically paid alimony. She wants to know what are your thoughts on a man asking for alimony if the woman is making considerably more money than he is. I knew it was going to start with a laugh.
And it's not that it's a funny question, because it's not. It's one of those questions that I know that, what I always tell people, and this is my little fine print at the bottom, my caveat, is that if you want to know listen, I had a birthday since I've been gone. I'm 49 now, so I'm really close to 50.
Yes,
Okay.
everybody, get in there and welcome her. Happy birthday. Yes.
And what I learned about that is the older you get, you really don't sugarcoat things anymore. And it's just like, you know what? I don't even know how to change. I'm not going to change. So what you see is what you get. So when you ask me a question like that, if it was somebody that was coming to me and they asked me, I would explain to them first, let's talk about what alimony means, right? Alimony meant that you provided them with a life that they are now accustomed to. So whether it's the man that provided that life to that woman, or that woman that provided that life to that man, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, whatever, you provided them with a life that they were not accustomed to. So now that they are accustomed to it, they have to maintain it until they can get themselves back to a certain level, or at least have the ability to try to get there, right? And so especially when you're talking about kids, if kids are involved, let's use, somebody famous, like, Kelly Clarkson, and I know we don't like to talk about it. I'm just telling you what is in the media. Although he came from her ex-husband came from a pretty, rich family, he wasn't necessarily as rich as his mother or his wife, Kelly Clarkson, but yet they had kids together. So the way the court sees it is, if daddy is making barely six figures a year, or even, it takes him 3 years to make, seven figures, whereas that Kelly Clarkson makes, $30 million, $50 million a year. It's like Monday through Friday. If your mother is your primary, breadwinner, or the person that supports you as a child, it's like you live you know, in a condo or a mansion, and then you go into the hood on the weekends. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't work out. And then not only that, but when you're talking about the kids, it puts them in an unsafe environment, because now, come on now, if the father got to move to a neighborhood that's not like the mothers, and I'm not saying, and this is on the far end, you know what I mean? They want them in certain schools. They want them to have certain friends. They want them to be able to enjoy certain amenities, which means that if I live, downtown, because that's all I can afford, and I'm divorced from somebody that's famous and rich, and you live way, way out there, when they have weekend things for their friends, and although it's my weekend to keep the kids, or my week to keep the kids, now I got to travel an hour or 2 hours to get to their friends, because where I live at, can't afford to live in the boonies with you, where you got one neighbor per 5 miles. You know what I mean? My neighbor's right next door to me. So you have to take all those things in consideration. And so that's why it's important sometimes to really, really marry someone, or that's equally yoked. And now, if that person was with you before you got all those things, you may not feel that they necessarily contribute to you getting there. Because if I came out with, let's just say, right now I'm building a brand, what I'm building, and I'm not making in my business, I'm not making a certain number figure per year in my business yet. But if I get with a partner, then all of a sudden I start, things start picking up. I would never say that he didn't have any influence on that, because maybe I was getting some good sex now, so I was able to think clear. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, he may have played a back role, but he played a role in me going from where I'm at now to going up level. So they all, it's almost like that thing where my ex told me that he never noticed that now when we divorced, now he got to go out and buy toilet paper. You know what I mean? So it's like those things that you don't think about that now you have to think about because it was somebody else thinking about it. So when you are making a certain amount of money, and you wasn't making that prior to that person, and with that person you started to make more, don't believe that you did it by yourself, because you didn't. That person had an influence. Now, do I think that the amounts are fair? Apparently, some judge sees that the money is doable from that person. Number one. Number two, if I'm the person, let's just use you and I, for example. If I'm the wealthy person and you're not, I should be able to afford the best lawyers. And if my lawyers are not being good against your lawyers, then apparently either I didn't have a solid case, or, it just is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know I got a better lawyer than you because I got the money. But if the lawyers still see that I need to pay you, then that's just the way it is. Like that's written in stone. Because listen, if OJ lawyers can, you know what I'm saying? That means either pick better lawyers or it's written in stone. That's just the way it is. It's proven that the judge saw that no matter what, you deserve to pay this person this money. And I know sometimes we look at, and I think what it is that, and I know I'm long-winded on this, but I think this deserves like a really really in-depth answer to this, from my perspective. But I think another reason why we don't see it the same when it's reversed is because we see men as men, right? You're the breadwinner, regardless if we work or not. Typically, the men are the breadwinners. They're the ones that, make sure everything is done, because that's what traditionally it was, right? So you see this idea of the way it's supposed to be, but that's more of our antiquated thinking that we need to get away from. And this is one of the reasons why it's messing us up in today's society, because we want some of those old school things, but we only want it when it applies to us. In other words, the old school tells us that the man is the breadwinner until it's time for us to pay him. You understand what I'm saying?
There you
So
go.
it's just
There you
like,
go.
okay, what are we doing? It's almost like some people take the Bible to use the part that fits them, but then they don't want to read the whole story. If you're going to go back to when your grandparents were young and take advice from them, then let's do everything what they said. Don't pick and choose what benefits you. So get this impression out of your mind that this man, why would he come to this woman for this money? Because apparently he deserved it, because the judge saw fit and the lawyer you had couldn't fight your case. And it is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is sometimes. And I mean, we've been winning for a long time. So I mean, the ones who get hit here and there, I don't have no sympathy for them, because them people are still rich. Even after they pay all this alimony, they are still rich. So they still out of my league. So I don't have a dog in the fight. You know what I mean? And if we're talking about somebody that makes, that's not rich, your Kelly Clarksons and Mary J's and Adele's, if you're a regular American, making six figures and the low six figures, I ain't talking about the 999 six figures. I'm talking about the ones and two six figures. Then I mean, if you've made that much money, which means you've exceeded the normal, trust me, you could find it to make the money you need to make. So that money that you're spending that partner, it's not gonna, it ain't gonna even matter. I have, and that's a big thing in the military. Everybody that follows me know I'm retired military, and that was a big thing where, when the soldiers retired, or they got to retirement age, if they was with their spouses for 10 plus years, and they were entitled to a certain amount of their retirement check. And the soldiers feel like, why should they get half of my retirement, right? They don't get half of the disability, just half of the retirement. And there are people, of course, who don't agree with that. There are people who, have waited until the soldier did retire to divorce them. Like, I know, I've witnessed it, you know what I mean? So they could get their half. And when you think about it, they put in the work. They've had to do a lot of sacrifices. They was playing both roles as mom and dad when that person was deployed, or out in school, or playing GI Joe or GI Jane. And you guys know we work 15 hours a week. I mean, a day, anywhere from 12 to 15 hours a day, if not more. So if you got kids and things like that, I'm the one that's taking them to the doctor and checking up for nosebleeds, and making parent teacher conferences and things like that. And so you didn't agree to that. You agreed to being married to a soldier, but maybe you didn't agree to be a single parent in a marriage, and that's where the difference come in at. And then when the guy come home, whether guy girl, they come home, they feel like, well, I've worked all day, I shouldn't have to do anything. And so then that person that's at home is still doing things, cooking, cleaning, and stuff like that. And so when it's time for them to retire, those spouses want their half, and guess what? The government gets to them, because not only that, but they weren't really able to secure employment long term anywhere. Because if we're moving every 3 to 4 years, or 2 to 4 years, if you're a spouse and you're trying to get a job where you're maintaining, like, you want to get seniority in a position, it's hard for you to do that when you're moving every 3 or 4 years. So you never really get your groove, unless you got a job that's transferable. But not everybody gets lucky like that. So yeah, I said a lot to say that there's going to be some people that disagree with me, but that's my opinion. You on mute.
They're gonna go watch the replay later. They was heading out to work, so like I said, I just got the phone call, maybe a half hour or so, whatever, and didn't want to hear what I had to say about it. All right, I probably figured what you're gonna say, Mr. Ronnie. Thanks for that. But ask that girl of yours, she's what she thinks. So he was the other one. We see this trend, and it's not that it hasn't happened, and I'm sure there are some great stories out there concerning that. But now, I believe there's going to be a reality show concerning this as well. However, what are your thoughts on a woman asking a man's hand in marriage? Woosah. You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, I need to know exactly, what are you asking me? Okay? Are you asking me my opinion from Yasheka?
That's what they requested that you say.
Okay,
You the full unadulterated. They said, "Listen, there's one thing I know about her. She's gonna give it to you real." I says, "Okay."
okay, because no judgment,
Right.
no judgment. I want to make sure everybody knows that, no judgment, because at the end of the day, a person has to do what is best for their life, no matter what. And when we give advice, you and I, or any other dating coach, that's what it is. We're speaking from our education, our experiences, and what I call our gut hood instinct. Okay. Those are the three things I live those like my trinity, what I live my life by, right? And for me, there's just no way I would propose to a man. And here's why. Here's why. We put them in positions where, I hope I don't go to Facebook jail again. But, you know, we put them in positions again where it looks like we are being these alpha females and they are being bitchs. That's just my opinion. And it takes away from their definition of man and what a man should do. I believe that a man come to this earth with two things: his male part and his pride. That's it. And the only two things he got: his male part and his pride. Everything else he don't care about. But them two right there, he's gonna protect it to the end. And if you are a woman that's with this man, you are never supposed to do anything that's going to take away from any one of those things. Which means that don't insult him. Let him know he's the best thing you ever had. Number one. And number two, You don't mess with his pride. And when you ask a man in his hand in marriage, to me, it affects the pride of the man. That's the short answer.
Okay. Well, if you have another something that you want to elaborate on, but let me just say, because I did a post on this earlier this week, ladies and gentlemen, if anyone's been following me, and personally, even professionally, you know I'm very quote unquote traditional. Some refer to OG. But what I do believe in, from what I believe a spiritual aspect, physical aspect, so we're talking physical, we're talking biology, science, and all of that. And speaking as a man, I am someone who grew up with two-parent household from the hood and spending many years going also in the South. So I can tell you about the hood, and I can tell you about the country, I can tell you about all of that. And so I've seen what some may term a dysfunctional relationships in marriage and those that are healthy. So a lot of my debates with certain men and women is because they just haven't had the examples that I've had or witnessed it. But I've witnessed a lot of incredible marriages. And those marriages are fundamentally just like you expressed, Yasheka, the man led. Now, with that being said, there's many people, especially nowadays, and even led by women, of what that they call it the patriarch, and then it's not just patriarchy; it's toxic patriarchy. And then it's the here's what I know. I believe the men sets the vision and the tone, and here's the thing: even in those relationships and marriages, the women were still able to be at peace. They were to be women, relax in their femininity. They made a house a home. They were incredible cooks, and in the houses too, where even the husband was an incredible cook. I've been in the household. I mean, the man could throw down. Hell, it was at the point where she hardly cooked. He did the cooking, and he worked as well. He worked and came home because that was just something that he loved to do. So no one's taking away the beauty and the incredible contributions of what women, and I will say particularly black women, bring to the community. But I believe a man, and I've been called chauvinist now, and I'm outdated. I believe that man, once you've discovered who you are as a man and your purpose, and you're focusing on that, I truly believe. I remember just back in the days, you were not a real man until you had a house, a land, because with that, you married a woman, you made it a home, and you had kids, and kids grown, and they go off into the sunset, and then you and your wife go off and enjoy the world and each other's presence until one, till death do you part, it says. I am a strong believer that when you find that woman, that you make it official. You get down on one knee. I don't care if it's a balloon in Paris over the Colorado Rockies. I don't care if it's on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, but you let that woman know that that you'd be the happiest man in the world if
Mhm.
she took this ring. I stand by that. I stand by that. I'm getting so much pushback now of the equality. And see, this is when we go back to the double standards. When it suits them, they're all for it. But when it doesn't, when it
And
comes
that's
to
what I was
alimony,
about to
it's a
say.
whole different conversation. And
That's
so
what I was
what I've
about to
noticed in
say.
these past couple of years is the double standards at an all time high. And
Hmm.
so
And I was
I made the
thinking that.
post. And overall, I said, listen, ask your female friends, ask your lady friends. They still want the man to do it. Now, for whatever reason, maybe they don't like the rejection. But again, that's a whole different conversation. But listen, hate me, block me, do whatever you want. I believe a man's place is to court that woman, show what that woman means to him, express his affections to that woman, paint a vision for that woman, so that when he goes down, he, not her, goes down and lets him know that he is the one who's going to ask her man in marriage. Now, we can go back in those days, and then you went to the father and asked his blessings and things of that nature. Hell, someone argued we should go back to that, but either way, I am just not for. I said, ladies, don't you ever, don't you ever let me hear say that you did that to a man. I said, I don't coach women to do that. I don't coach men to be in that space. And in one example, I saw where he said yes. She proposed. He said yes. I'm like, well, for all the men that are saying yes, well, then hell, why didn't you go ahead and do it then? If that was if marriage is what you wanted, anyhow, I'm gonna start getting on soapbox, and then I'm gonna end up in Facebook just saying what I'm saying. But no, 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 ladies, listen to me. If you feel he's taking too damn long, you know what to do. Okay, you know what to do.
I
But
mean,
gentlemen, you step
if
up.
it's taking too long, then I mean, either he thinking about some things or
He
he's
thinking about some things.
that this may not be what he want right now. Let him be sure. It shouldn't have it, I mean, we want it to happen on our time, but too many marriages are ending in divorce. So maybe he need a little while longer to think about this. Maybe he still got some things he want to do, but it doesn't work. I know we feel like we walking against a biological clock sometimes, especially depending on where we are in life. But when you and it just goes to show you that the different approaches, like for that part of the question, that question that was asked about women proposing to men, you literally took the traditional standpoint from because of what you saw you as a child, and I really appreciate that. Like, that is what our audience needs to see, that because you have that foundation. For me, my foundation from the hood. Okay, so we took two different viewpoints of it. Although I've been brushed all off and polished up and given some fancy degrees, my foundation is still from where I seen toxic relationships, toxic marriages, like all kind of stuff. So you seen a more beautiful, family impression. I didn't. I came from my mother was married to my father before I was born, but he was never in the household. So I don't know what it's like to have two parents in the household. You understand what I'm saying? Whereas that you do. So the answer I gave on both of those questions were from my instinctual, my hood instinct. So, and we still say the same thing. So, if you're going to take something from us, think about, for the audience out there, think about how you and I took two different approaches, but our answers were still the same, but it was based on our experiences. Your experience says, well, because of tradition, a woman should never ask a man to marry him. That was your approach, which some people will look at it that way, right? And then some people will totally disagree. Well, we ain't in tradition no more. Okay, but then you got Yasheka's perspective. Hers ain't from a traditional. Hers is from in the streets, in the hood, but yet from the streets of Detroit. Okay, but yet at the same came from a teenage mother, a hustler for a father, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? I did everything as a kid. You name it, I did it. I know how to cut it up and sell it. Okay, hopefully I won't be in Facebook jail again. So at the end of the day, but I've been given these degrees. I've been put in the military. I've restructured my life, but my foundation is still what I saw. And I want to do different. I want to do better. But I still feel that there are certain things that shouldn't just be. And a woman asking a man for his hand in marriage is not one of them. And that's not the Christian answer. That is the hood answer. Hell no, because that's not what we're doing, right? We're not doing that. Period. We're not doing that. And what I don't understand, and maybe I'm wrong, and I hope somebody can show this to me, but it seems that when I see the memes or when I see the pictures being discussed, maybe I'm wrong, but I see more of a certain demographic of women that are doing this, proposing than it is other women. And I'm trying to figure out, is it that the other women are not just getting put on tape and nobody's taking a picture of it? Is it that, we all video recording it because it's a special morning moment. So we putting it all on video where everybody else doing their stuff in secrecy. So if they get rejected, nobody knows. But I'm just trying to figure out, why is it seem to be us that's doing it more so than anybody? As if we're running desperate. And if we're running desperate, then we need to change the way we do things. And listen, listen, this is the way. I mean, The world is set up this way. If you look at different cultures, right? If you look at different cultures, the one who's like, for example, your Asians, you got your white Americans, you got your European Americans, you got your blacks in Africa. Like you got all these people, right? From different places, right? You take the blacks here in America, you take the blacks in Africa, you take the Europeans that's here or the ones that's in Europe, right? They still doing things different than the way we doing things. Like we still like the people in Africa ain't doing that. Them women ain't getting on their hands and knees and marrying them men. So what we doing? So if we gonna take cue from somebody, the Americans, the white Americans in Europe ain't doing that. The white Americans in the States ain't doing that. The Asians that live in Asia ain't doing it, and the ones that came to America ain't doing it. So why are we the only ones that's doing different than our real people? Our real people that's still in Africa. Why we want to do something different? And you let me know if I need to come down off this doggone high right now. Because I'm like, why are we doing something different? Like if we're gonna take cue from the motherland, let's take cue from the motherland. These women are doing what they need to do to get these husbands. And and I know they got as many men as we got. They got refugees over there. They got men that's doggone walking around with no shoes on and stuff. They out there getting it. But them women got husbands. Sometimes they share them. I don't care what they do. I don't care how they do it. But you ain't never heard them be on Facebook talking about they about to get on their hand and knee and marry nobody. You ain't never saw them doggone talking about I'm gonna have 50 million kids and I ain't got no husband because like you ain't seen them women do that. Like over there, they not doing that. They not doing that. So why are we doing something different than them? That's the part I don't understand. And then now we want to reverse it. Well, I'm just gonna ask him to marry me because he's taking too long. Nope, nope, nope. Do it the way you were taught to do it. And if you're unsure, go to Africa because that's our people. Just like Europe, white Americans got Europeans, the Asians that's here got all their countries in Asia. If we're not sure how to do it, then let's go to our foundation is what I'm saying. Our foundations, because when we've been split up and done things and moved around and stolen and borrowed, we didn't know who we were. We got lost taking so many on different people's cultures. We don't know who we are. So if we unsure about who we are in the way it's done, and we need to find ourselves, then go back to where we started. Don't recreate some stuff. Don't make some shit up as we go along. Okay, I'm gonna step down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the artist of dating, Yasheka Foster, and her opinion. I tell you now, I know why she wanted me to ask you this question because okay, and then right behind this person.
Now you tell me, like Ronnie, and you let me just go at it tonight. You ain't telling me.
Listen, I had something totally. We were going to do what's on our minds, but I'm sitting here getting ready, and then I get these calls, and I'm going,
let me tell
okay.
You so I am. You
people
know
who
I
are.
I just started.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't see you make any comment on anything over the case. Maybe you don't worry about that. That's beside the point. I just need you to ask. I'm like, it's like, I said, so do I get the chance to speak? Well, just ask her, So then I get this other call here. It was hilarious. So I mean, it was just a very animated day today, if anything. So this other person called and said, Mr. Ronnie, I need you to ask Yasheka this. And don't you say anything as a man. I was like, okay, all right. So here it is. They were on me today.
They killing me. They killing me out here by myself.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. Three different people. So your man at a party. You and your man at a party. And cocktail or whatever the case may be. And your man's best friend or brother, doesn't matter, someone who he likes and trusts and cares about and speaks highly of, has been continuously making passes at you. Should you, A, not tell your man and have the conversation to shut it down with the said person, Or should you tell them, tell your man that his best friend or family member has been hitting on you and why?
Okay, so this is twofold. And the reason why it's twofold is because, again, I'm from the hood. Okay. So you have to really make sure you know your man, because in the hood, they address problems a little bit different, right? And that's on everything. So if you know your man, his elevator don't go all the way to the top, because I dated some dudes back in the day. I couldn't told them nothing like that. I would have had to just handle that on my own, because if I had told them for the disrespect,
It's on
you
site.
know, it's on site. You know what I mean? And so, that's that answer. Right? Now, if we not there no more, which I don't know. I don't know. Because life puts us back there sometime. Okay. But if we're not there anymore, and you know that now we are gentlemen and ladies, and we're doing things differently, then I feel that, number one, you should tell him, meaning tell the man, listen, I don't know what's going on, but what I'm going to do, I appreciate if you I appreciate you, one, please don't say anything else to me, because that's disrespectful. I'm not interested. And two, understand that I will tell my boyfriend, because here's the thing, her not saying anything, especially if it's happened several times, it puts that guy friend in the mind that he got a chance. And not only that, but if we young and he trying to test you, it could be a test to see if you gonna tell your man. You understand what I'm saying? Because, man, she ain't telling you, she must like it. And again, it depends on where they are up here. Now, grown people don't behave like that. But them people, because I don't know the age of this person. So if we're talking about some young people that's still trying to get life together, then that's probably on some game BS, right? And you don't need to be up in that anyway. But if these are grown people, 40 and up, if, number one, if your man is playing games with you, you don't need him no way, because he's still a boy. Let's be clear there, right? Because you don't need to send your friend to test me to see if I'm going to tell you about what he's doing. All right. That's number one. I ain't got time for him no way.
I'm glad
If
you
this,
covered that.
yeah. But if it's legit, this joker is disrespecting you and your man, I'm telling my man after I've confronted him. And once you let it happen twice, you let it go on too long. Matter of fact, don't even wait for a third time to let it happen. You let your man know, hey, I need to talk to you about something. I was going to wait until the last time, but you know what? It's happened twice already, and I don't know when the last time is, and I need to make sure the air is clear between me and you. This is what your partner been doing. He can deny it if he want to, but I need you to know. Now, at the end of the day, your man got a choice, either to believe you or not believe you. And if he don't believe you, then guess what? You already know he ain't for you no way. Okay? If he do, you already know he gonna ask your friend about it. His friend about it. The friend gonna deny it. Then y'all move forward from there. Because guess me, it's gonna show his head again at some point, because the friend knows him. If they really been boys, he know him, and he knows that this ain't the first time that his friend wanted something he had. You see what I'm saying? He know his friend. He know his friend. So that was hood and educated all up in there together. So that was all my three triads. My education, my experience, and my hood answer. So yeah, so I hope I covered all that and answered the question around it. But yeah, but they either way it go, know your person. If your person in their 40s and it's a setup, ditch the whole. Listen, throw the baby away with the bathwater. Throw the whole thing away. But you tell that man to step the heck back, and you also tell your man. Period. And you go from there.
Thank you. So I'm going to add my 2 cents, even though she didn't want it. But listen, ladies, tell your man. Let me make this clear to you. What you don't want, hear me clear, ladies. What you don't want is for your man to find out and you haven't told him. Because you want to talk about a problem.
Yeah.
Because I tell people all the time, and this is when we talk about dating and things of this nature and mindset,
Mm-hmm.
you It's not what happens, it's how you interpret what happens. And again, so I use the example of, let's just say you see someone on the ground and they've been look like they've been physically beat up or things of this nature. You walk in and wonder what the heck happened, and you see a bat there or a knife or whatever. You pick it up. Someone walks by and sees you there by the person with the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Who hurt the person? Well, we know it was somebody else from the example I gave, but the way it looks, circumstantial,
Mm-hmm.
is you. Who goes to jail? You.
Mm-hmm.
Your man finds out that his friend has been whatever because another friend of yours put him on blast or whatever, and then the first thing you're wondering, why didn't my woman tell me?
Mm-hmm.
And then now you have to explain to him what the hell happened.
Yep.
That happened to me. That happened to me. And just like you said, Yasheka, what I did, I threw the baby out with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was a whole bunch, and for intensive purposes, there's no way I can prove that something did or did not happen. All I know is that we've known each other long enough when you know that you've shared damn near everything, body and everything included, and this pops up. And I understand that they felt that if they'd said something this was going to happen, well, then it would have just happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is, And again, I get it. People look at me and they see the sport code, whatever the case may be. But I'm quick to remind somebody I'm Harlem born and raised.
Yeah.
And moving on up was to the South Bronx, which, if you knew in that time, wasn't moving up like the Jeffersons.
Mm-hmm.
So I am far from that. So I understand the hot headed mindset, and I understand on site. I understand that. And I've had a situation where I had to, check a dude. At the chin check him. I'm at a party, and I just go to the bathroom more time I go to get drinks. And this dude is standing right there. See, I mean, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, leave the party, or you're gonna leave the party.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that simple. Now, looking at me, he wasn't sure. He left. He left. But again, whew, okay, I'm just in that thought. So this is something when we talk about communication and what Yasheka expressed. Yeah, we know as we get older, you want to be more civil and address things of this nature. But when you look at divorce rates, when you look at situations, when you look at infidelities or the perception of infidelities and things of this nature, these situations will lend that to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to establish the trust in each other that should something like this happen, that you can be able to communicate this and he handles it and you trust that he's going to handle it in a way that's beneficial and of course doesn't cause anybody any death or things of this nature. But yes, yeah, I get it. There's always that threat
Mm-hmm.
that a home gun dude is just going to be like, wait, because, and again, it's more so about the disrespect.
Yeah.
Him, a man that you've trusted with and probably went to college with or things of this nature. And out of all the women that this guy could have been with or hit at, it's
Mm-hmm.
yours. So you already know, just like you mentioned, Yasheka, this probably isn't the first time. And I can assure you it's not the first time he's done that. If not with your woman, it's with some of his other buddies' women. And if you live long enough, you'll meet men like that. Trust me. Hell, there are songs about it. Rap and R&B are talking about the same stuff and then trying to make it glamorize that it wasn't him. It's just that it's something he's not doing. So I just had to step in and fill the space. And anyhow, the only going to tell you what I'm thinking, the do that I do. But that's the other side. I think I'd like to think is buried and gone. But, you know, again, so I get that. So that was the last comment. I hate to have put you on the spot, Yasheka, but
No,
this is
I
I had this whole other thing that I had whatever, and they hit me with this, and they wanted to hear from you. So I says, okay, we we aim to please.
Listen, I encourage that 110%. And, like we always say, they can always reach out to us and we will discuss the question on air without, of course, mentioning that person's name. But if they drop us an email or DM us or something like that, definitely address it. Then that way we can have it from both perspectives. Or if you want to hear one side, because maybe you've already heard, the opinions of that other side and you want to hear, Ronnie, or you want to hear myself. So we 100% encourage it all the time. But I mean, but I just love the fact that the questions are dealing with everyday life. Like those three questions are things that we see every day, whether you're strolling through, social media or you're hearing about something in the news, with divorces and alimony, of course, with, women asking men to marry them. And then, of course, the friend hitting on the friend, and the thing about the friend hitting on the friend's girl, and the thing about it, you would think that if there are so many more women out here, because they said that it's more of them more of us than it is them. Then why would a guy even need to hit on this girl, his guy's girl? You know what I mean? It's like find your 10, because it's like what 10-1 or something, or 8-1. Find your 8 or your 10. You know what I mean? Like go find them. Because
Hmm.
apparently, and then once your guy friend, settle down with his one, then he got 9 that you could pick from now. So now you got your 10 plus his 9. So now you got 19 that's available you can pick from. You see how the numbers start to grow for each man? So what you doing? What you doing? Right? Why you can't find them? But you want something that somebody else has. And that just goes to show the caliber of the man. I mean, there's times where, I've known relationships where I'm not saying you meet a girl first. Like I'm not saying, like, I know there's times where say you at a bar and your friend tries to holler at her first, and she don't like him, but somehow the other friend approaches her and she likes him. I'm not saying that kind of thing. That's different.
Right, right,
But
right,
we're
right.
talking about if this is your friend, like y'all ride or die together, y'all die together, and he's trying to talk to your girl behind your back, you know what I mean, or something like that. I have never had that to happen to me. In any of I think matter of fact, my ex he experienced things something like that. So for him, he didn't keep a lot of men around him anyway. His was a little different, but kind of the same. So I didn't have to deal with that from his friends, from either one of my husbands. And as far as me on the other side, I've had to deal with my best friend's husband coming for me, and it put me in an awkward position because I'm like, okay, do I tell her that her husband's a dog because she ain't gonna believe me no way, right? And or do I, so every chance I got, I cussed him out and called him everything but the son of God, but he still kept coming back, you know what I mean? And of course, I never denied or confirmed with her what he did because I already knew that I didn't stand a chance, and as soon as it was good for her, she sent me on my way more or less because she knew her husband. She knew her husband. So although she was never told, I never confirmed or denied when she asked me about it. She knew her husband. And so rather than her have to be put herself in a position, she cut me off long before there was ever anything that was said. And I was cool with that. The only part that hurt me about that the most is that her daughter is my goddaughter. So I'm not able to see her
Mhm.
grow up because she's 15 this year and I'm not able to see her grow up. And other than that, I didn't really give a crap if they cut me off because them two were meant for each other, apparently. You know what I mean? And ain't nothing I can do about that. But that was my goddaughter, and that's what I had a problem with. But and I hope they make it. I hope he was just making a foolish mistake. I don't know. But many people tell me I was the forbidden fruit because he was the kind of guy, because of his position, he can get any girl he wanted. I mean, and he trust me, he did. But I was the one that didn't feed into his ego because I was the best friend to the wife. So of course I'm not gonna deal with you. So I'm not at your disposal, or you know what I mean? And so he tried, trust me, he tried. He tried. But it just goes to show you how people are sometimes, especially when they're put in leadership positions. But it's just, and It is what it is. So yeah, we're all tried sometime. And when people do that, it just lets you know who they are to you. So if it's a friend or somebody that you're trying to pursue and you're caught in certain situations, right? When all else fails, use that gut, use that gut that's gonna tell you, listen, either this they on some bull crap, or this, whatever. You're gonna feel it. There's something else that's going to allow you to make a decision that's good for you. And you can never go back and say, I screwed that up. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I should never told him, and now we're not together because he chose, there's women that go through that. They feel like, well, I shouldn't have told him that his friend tried to come at me because he didn't believe me and they've been friends forever, something like that. And so they start blaming them own selves because they felt like he might have been the one. No, he was not. He was not the one. If he chose his friend over you, then he is not the one. I don't care how it was polished up and looked nice. He was not the one. And he got to find that friendship out about him and his friend, but it ain't for you to teach it to him. And so you go on about your business and you have no regrets at all. It just meant that he was not the one, or whoever was not the one. And that's it. People can be pretty, they can have everything you need, but then have this other stuff that, God, whoever you believe in showed you who that person was before. And you don't have any regrets about walking away from that relationship or being the one that he let go. He did you a favor. Period. He did you a favor.
I agree, and that was the thing that I look back and reflect on in my growth as a man. That these situations present themselves because it reveals who truly is a friend and who isn't.
Mhm.
And I've always said that in your relationship with yourself, your relationship will be tested. As a matter of fact, as a post I put up today about that, at some point your relationship will be tested.
Mhm.
Don't know how or when, but it will be. Because this is one again. I mean, hell, it's even in the wedding vows, through all of the challenges that you work through this. This is what coaches and therapists are for, because relationships were tested. But one of the things about growth of oneself is knowing who to share that energy with and who are not. And some people you do outgrow. Some people like to stay in this lane, and instead of hitting other people's men and women and finding their own, then they're just there. That's just what
Yeah.
they want to do for whatever reason. And I can get into that, but not this evening. But these things will reveal itself so that you can say, you know what, we've had our season, and it's time to push on. It's time to push on. I'm not failing you. Um, this is something this is a trait with you that I'm really not. I don't like, and it's going to end up getting someone hurt sometimes, emotionally or physically. But you're going to move on. You're going to wish them well, but you're going to keep it pushing.
Right.
So these are those things that happen. So again, thank you, Yasheka, for your input. I'm sure that they will be more than grateful of hearing your words of wisdom in this space. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate it. This was nice. I think I'm gonna definitely remix some of this because I think it was just amazing. So anyway, Ronnie, so as we're both free. I'm free now. I'm a, what do they call it? I sprung jail. Jailbird. What do they call it when you spring out of jail or whatever, something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, I'm here. I'm back. And just for our audience, we're going to really start taking a lot of our things over to Instagram. Especially once we can get Instagram to allow StreamYard. So hint Instagram if you're out there listening, because it's just that way we can put it on both, because right now it's a lot of moving and shaking to get it over there, especially a full video like this. And yeah, it's a full thing. So but we need to start growing. Just goes back to me being locked out. We don't want to put everything on one. And although we are on YouTube, we're still growing over there as well. So I said all that to say, for the people, for the people, for the people, for the people, if you are out there, make sure you go and check us out on Instagram at the Ronnie and Yasheka's Dating Discussions. And as far as our on personal Instagrams. That information is at the bottom of this video. Also, our dating site. Ronnie, give them the website.
datingdiscussions.com. And
That's
you'll
it.
find in our background again on Yasheka as well as I, and also together. So if you feel that Yashika has some things that she could share with you that will put you in the right direction, or I, then you can reach out to either of us. Or if there was some coaching or consults together that we can work on, we'll more than happy to do that. So datingdiscussions.com.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, if you are here, make sure to like and subscribe on Facebook and in YouTube. And if you are watching the replay, make sure to hashtag replay so we can know that you've been here. And you guys have a good night. Ronnie, you have a good night.
Have a good night, Yashika. Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.